Man, really want to learn how to fade that out. So abrupt. But good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Smoke and Mirrors. I'm your host, Stefan Polius, alongside Declan Krogman and Greg Polius. And I had a great weekend. I'm gonna start with me. I usually start with you guys. I'm gonna start. I had a great weekend. Very relaxing, very fun. Spent a lot of time with the family. So I'm in a really good mood. Declan, how are you doing, sir?
Yeah, not too bad. Was a busy weekend to say the least. But happy to start the week off. It's Monday morning. You guys
Yes, sir.
got the bucket hat snapback going.
Mhm.
I guess I just need a haircut. I don't really have much to report on there. But is that a
I
Knicks hoodie, Greg? I mean, what is?
Absolutely not.
think.
Oh,
This is what you call Mets colors, not Knicks colors.
oh,
Ooh.
Take that,
um,
Garrison.
uh, is that a Chiefs jersey you're wearing?
No, that I think that's the Josh Allen,
okay.
Oh,
Thank
the red
oh,
alternate
I
yes,
see.
thank
Oh,
you.
all right.
or
I
his
wasn't
Look,
sure.
maybe I'll have to zoom out a little bit for the people.
Yeah,
17 going, but
I mean,
it's
hey,
almost football
yeah,
season.
color. That's their color rush jersey, right?
Oh, dude, I think it's so clean. I really
I
do.
like it. It's
Yeah,
crisp.
I mean, I think it's a nice jersey. I don't love their jerseys as a whole. I think the blue one is kind of like looks like a Walmart brand version of the Giants, but otherwise, I think the red one's nice.
Greg, how about you? How's your week been?
All week has been
Weekend,
busy.
weekend, weekend.
Weekend's
Yeah,
been busy, man. I'm just ready to relax before I'll get a little vacation before the school year gets going, and I'm back to teaching inside again.
that. Good luck to you.
Are you
Thank
looking
you.
forward to this? Like, I mean, obviously not looking forward to the summer being over, but looking forward to being back in the
Yeah,
class.
you know what? I am. I am looking forward to being back in the building. A lot of the kids that I taught last year virtually, I'm going to see again next year. So I'm looking forward to meeting them in person. I think that'll be cool.
It's good to have that kind of energy going into it then, instead of dreading
Mm.
it. So I want to get into it. I did say I had a good weekend, and that's mostly because I was blocking out the 3 game set that the Mets had against the Phillies
Oh my.
because it was putrid. All right. If you didn't watch, you're a better person than anyone that did. You're better off not watching such poor baseball. But the Mets play the Phillies in a 3 game set, and this is before they do have a series against the Nationals coming up this week, but they have an onslaught against the Giants and the Dodgers coming up, a 13 game set that starts in the East Coast, ends up in the West Coast. But against the Phillies on Friday, the Mets lost 4-2, then proceeded to on Saturday lose 5-3, and yesterday losing 3-zip, which the offense is punchless, and you can see that every time they go out there and play.
That's
But
nice.
that's the nice way of saying it. That
Yeah.
is the on-air way of saying it. But you had a Mets trio of pitchers. You had Marcus Stroman Friday, Tyler McGill on Saturday, and then Taiwan Walker on Sunday, who Taiwan has been awful in the second half, but he gave them a chance at least in this game. Whereas the Phillies put out Kyle Gibson, who was their big acquisition before the deadline ended. He's gotten 2 wins for them so far. They had a bullpen day Saturday, and then Zach Wheeler went out there on Sunday and threw a complete game shutout. In the matter of 3 days, the Mets have gone from first place in the division to third place and 2.5 games back. And from game 1 of the series to game 3, you just see a Mets team again punchless. Offense is just lacking so much because if you look at the scores, it's not that the pitching has been rocked. They had a chance to win these games. It really comes down to hitting. I mean, there's a lot, but to me, the hitting is what is so bothersome with me. When Nimmo has your highest average on your team at 284, I believe he has, and he's
He's been
missed
out a lot.
time, and he's
Yeah.
missed time. After that, it's two. You have JD Davis and Brandon Drury, who both have under 100 ABs. At least Nimmo has 100 ABs under his belt. But Nimmo's leading the way for your average, your highest average on the team. And there's no one in the lineup that truly scares you. Peter Alonso has the power, but he's batting 245. I mean, there's ways to get him out clearly. He's just not the offensive threat that you want him to be. He has the pop. We all know that, but you could pitch around him. You don't need to pitch to him. And even looking at Javier Baez as the newest addition, the man, the book is out on him. It was out on him when he was in Chicago. Anything soft in a way, he cannot hit. his swing is just tailored for an inside pitch, and he has not made adjustments. And it's a damn shame. The Mets have a negative 18 run differential right now. All right, they are second to last in the MLB in runs scored. The Pirates are last, and they're second to last in hits. You know, it's like, and they've been bad with runners in scoring positions. They're just not hitting the ball though. Greg, I put a case together as to why the Mets are so bad, but what else are you seeing from them that they're just lacking? Because it's the second half is looking bleak, and there's not much that they can do.
So you gave the broad perspective of why they're bad. I'm gonna get down to the micro reasons as to why they're bad on offense, and it all has to do with their offensive approach. It is one of the worst offensive approaches in all of baseball, and it's not. And I know we spoke about the Yankees' approach being bad, but I think the Mets have surpassed them in terrible approaches, because the Yankees at least are hitting mistakes out of the park. You know, so you can get away with, you know, a somewhat average approach and hit home runs and still try to win games as long as you're getting decent pitching. Mm-hmm. The Mets offense has failed their pitching all year. We've talked about it all year. But they are now in a stretch where they absolutely have to turn it on and cannot just falter the way they falter. And what makes me upset about the Phillies series is two things. One, you could have had Kyle Gibson. There was no offer. Mm-hmm. Two, you could have had Zach Wheeler as a Met. Okay, and we wouldn't be talking about all the stuff we spoke about on Friday about needing an extra arm and all of that.
You're also forgetting they could have had Real Muto, right? Like McCann has been nothing for the Mets. Like at a point where he's in a timeshare, he's splitting time with Tomas Nido. You know, we all know he can't hit his way out of a paper bag. He had a couple good games, but McCann was the guy that they want to go out there and pay $45 million for when you had Real Muto waiting to get paid, and they could have paid him.
Yeah, but as far as offensive approach, what I wanted to say, for those of you out there that aren't privy to what an offensive approach is, okay, it is how you attack a pitcher at his best and at his worst. And not just throughout the game, from at bat to at bat, from pitch to pitch. Major leaguers have the capability to make adjustments from pitch to pitch. Making adjustments is some of the hardest thing to do in baseball, but if you have the talent, it's also one of the easiest. And a overall consensus approach as a hitter on all levels of baseball is you sit fastball, which means you wait for a fastball to come and you get your hands ready to hit a fastball, and you adjust to a breaking ball or something slow or something with a hump. The Mets have taken an analytical approach to hitting, which has ruined their chances of hitting fastballs. Khan, please be in the comments. You could back me up on this. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. Now, if you're, say, any one of us are at the plate and there's a flamethrower in our league throwing 94, 95, right? You're going to look for his fastball, because if you sit on his breaking ball, you're going to get beat by his fastball. And this is what's happening. Gary Cohen on Live on Air a couple months ago said the Mets are now taking the approach where if say a scouting report says a pitcher throws 30% sliders in a 2-1 count, they're literally going to sit slider. And if the pitcher does not throw a slider, guess what? They don't swing. If you guys have taken the time to watch a Met game, this team has taken more fastballs around the plate than any other team I've ever witnessed. And not only that, they're not prepared to hit fastballs down the middle, which is part of the reason why Conforto has the worst batting average in the league on fastballs down the middle. They either foul them back or they just look at them as if they're not major league hitters. And that all of that plays into them being so awful on offense. And then you take into account what I just said about the Yankees. They don't make pitchers pay on mistakes. A mistake is a breaking ball that hangs in the hitting zone for too long, or a fastball down the middle. Occasionally, Pete Alonso will pop one out, but for the most part, there are more swings and misses on this team on hittable pitches in the strike zone than there are not. And you cannot win baseball games against teams who have legitimate pitching staffs And the Marlins do, even though the Marlins are not a good baseball team, they have a legitimate pitching staff. They have
It's
very
good
good
pitching.
young
Yeah.
talent.
Very good pitching.
You know, and the
Sandy,
Mets,
Sixto, all these guys.
yeah, they have really good young pitching. And every team that you're gonna face for the rest of this month and through the dog days of September, you know, getting ready for a playoff push, have legitimate pitching. If the Mets plan to make any noise without Jacob deGrom, they need to get it together and change their approach entirely. You can no longer blame it on the hitting coach. The hitters have to step up.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that we mentioned on Friday, I said the guy that needed to be on this Mets team right now that they need more than ever is Zach Wheeler. Zach Wheeler fits into this team, this mold so well.
Yes.
And obviously they couldn't re-sign him, and he made you guys pay on Sunday or yesterday rather. But Taijuan Walker is another one. Like 2 home runs in the first inning. It seemed like, you know, immediately off to the wrong foot. And he's had a couple bad first innings. Just obviously he had the terrible one in Pittsburgh, but to start the second half, I think this team as a whole, I said it on Friday, it's going to be tough to stay dormant in first place when you got the Braves and you got the Phillies creeping on them. They were a sitting duck, especially without DeGrom. And with the way they've been playing lately against the Marlins, now the Phillies. They dropped 5 of the last 6. Whereas on the other side of town, it's different. But things need to change. Things need to happen. I mean, Luis Rojas went from on the cusp of being a division-winning manager to losing his job at the end of the year. And how quickly we forget how we all thought about him back in April.
I still think of him like that.
Totally understood, but let's just be real for a second. We weren't talking every week about how he needs to be fired.
Oh,
And
no,
Mets
that,
fans-
Yeah.
Mets fans were never we're not talking about how bad he was when they were doing good. They have one of the tougher schedules in August, as Com told us the other day.
No, the toughest.
It is the toughest.
The
Statistically
toughest.
the toughest. Yeah, it's going to be tough for them to get through it. And I like the Javi Baez trade, and I did say that. I think Javi Baez was a splash, massive deal, but the guy strikes out way too much. I mean, you can't have a platinum sombrero on a Thursday afternoon game against the Miami Marlins. It's just not going to fly. He's getting injured. For someone who has a great glove, like the guy does make more errors than you would really want to see from him. And I know I'm taking that in a different direction, but this team as a whole is just in a funk. And I feel like it's a shame because a guy like Pete Alonso, we mentioned it. After he won the home run derby, he went out and he had a completely different second half start than you would expect from someone who was in the home run derby, hitting bombs in Cincinnati. This was a team that had fight even 2-3 weeks ago when they would be down. They'd be down like 6 runs to whether it's the Pirates, whether it's the Reds, any of these teams. I know one team that I mentioned is bad there, but one team, the Reds are a good baseball team. They're a terrible bullpen, but a very good baseball team. They just play bad defense. That's really their problem. But looking at that team, that Mets team had fight. And the Yankees, I didn't think had fight until the past couple weeks. And there's been like a changing of the guard, a little switch here. And I think that the Mets right now need to wake up as soon as possible. We don't need to hear Steve Cohen tweeting about, just spoke to the team. They're in a good frame of mindset to go win this game and then get shut out by a guy who used to pitch for you. And I don't need to hear Pete Alonso saying, stick with us, just smile. You know what's going on. Because frankly, no one knows what's going on right now in Queens, in that locker room. No one knows why they're taking more fastballs down the plate and why Conforto has the worst fastball down the plate batting average than anyone in the league. And he's in a contract year after he turned down $100 million 2 years ago. It doesn't make sense.
He lost out on a lot of money.
He really did.
And it's a shame because this is a guy who, I mean, Keith Hernandez said it best in 2013. You could have been looking at your 3-hitter for the next 15 years. I mean, he was David Wright.
He changed his approach at the plate. He looked more big fly.
Totally.
When he first came up, he was hitting the ball to all fields.
Yeah, but you know what he was doing when he was hitting the ball to all fields? He was hitting home runs, 2 in Game 5 of the World Series or Game 4 of the World Series. So it's a shame to see a guy like Conforto because I was always a fan of his. I love the way he plays the game. But if there's one bright side, he's becoming a hell of a defender. I mean, a really good defender.
He didn't have a great defensive series in Philly. I'll say that.
Bad series in Philly.
Overall,
if you put those, yes. If you put those 3 games aside, I mean, the guy is
he has gotten better.
Like his arm, he went from having a decent arm to you run on him if you need to run to you don't really want to run on him if the run really matters like that. Yeah. I mean, like Joey Gallo. Too. Yes, absolutely. Like Joey Gallo has and I hate to keep bringing it back to the Bronx, but Joey Gallo has a top 3 arm in baseball, right? Like he's got the second most assists in the league behind Hunter Renfroe of the Boston Red Sox. Like Conforto could try to play himself into that territory, but if he could just hit at least 250,
Real quick about the assists. That number can sometimes be a little skewed, and here's why. Because with outfield assists, for those of you that don't know what an outfield assist is, an assist in baseball is when a player makes a play and the runner is thrown out by that player, throwing the ball. All right. So if a right fielder throws the ball to home plate and the guy gets tagged, that outfielder gets that assist. But what happens is the guys who get tested more usually end up with more assists, which is why a guy like a Hunter Renfroe, who's not thought of as a flamethrower, has a lot of assists. Whereas back in the day, Jeff Francoeur, after a couple of years, did not have that many assists because guys would not run on him because he had that quality of an arm.
Miraculous. Right. And I totally like that is so accurate. And I'm so glad you said that because I couldn't agree with you more. I think Renfroe is cementing himself as a good arm from right field.
Yeah, good, not great.
Totally. And it is definitely, it's one of those stats. I think the best thing we can compare it to, especially for those who aren't baseball fans, is interceptions for elite cornerbacks. You know, Richard Sherman would have 8 interceptions one year in his coming out party. Next year, he'd have 2 or 3 because they weren't throwing over him as much. And I think that is similar. But a guy like Joey Gallo has had a revered arm for a couple of years now, and he throws the ball 95 miles per hour from the outfield. Yeah. And I think no one's really running on Joey Gallo. I'm surprised the Mariners ran on him yesterday, but it was 2-run lead in the 8th inning. You can afford.
Yeah, I mean that's when it's going to happen. You know, close games. You go in station station. You're looking at a tag up. Why wouldn't you go? Just because the arm is good doesn't mean you don't test it.
Totally.
So
yeah,
that's when you see that. And to your point, Greg, you spoke about DeGrom earlier. DeGrom doesn't solve this for me. I mean, we spoke about it, in everything we're saying. The bats need to wake up. DeGrom will just come back and, throw a 1-run game and lose. That's what this team is looking like right now. What I do feel like could be the difference is having Lindor back. If Lindor comes back and he hits, I think that's the energy and hopefully the spark plug the Mets can use because he hasn't had that yet. And honestly, if before the deadline, the Mets had put up enough wins and established themselves in the division, you wouldn't have saw the Phillies going out and being buyers. They would have been selling at the deadline.
They were a fringe team. They were definitely
they were fringe only because of how close they were to the Mets. But if the Mets went out there and they won, I do believe that the Phillies would have been selling just like the Braves would have been selling. And we wouldn't be talking about this right now, but they gave them a chance.
Yes.
They had a chance, so that they became buyers, and that is on the Mets. Like that, you had the chance in this division to pull away. It is the weakest division in baseball, and here we are now with a hurt Lindor, a hurt DeGrom. We have players that just have not performed up to expectation. And again, when I speak about Lindor, he hasn't shown us what he can do, what we know him as, the player that he has been in his career so far when he was in Cleveland. But a guy like that, especially with the energy he has, the infectious energy he does have, can lead this team out of the pit that they've dug themselves. And I honestly think this will be just like many Met teams of the years past, where it comes down to like the final week of the regular season. And the Mets are fighting tooth and nail. They're going to need, the Phillies or maybe the Braves to lose a couple games. They need to win, 4 or 5 or whatever it might be to try and get into the postseason.
The good thing is they still got I think 11 games against the Nats. And I think they still have a decent amount of games against the division where they can separate themselves. But if they play like they played last weekend, we're going to look at another disappointing Mets season with the exception of maybe the pitching. But on all accounts.
Yeah.
Ronnie going down, Acuna Jr. going down, changed the complexion of the whole race. I mean, I really do believe.
I don't think so. Because even with Acuna, the Braves still never made it over 500 this year.
Right. But think about this. First of all, now they're ahead of the Mets. Think of it like this. Even with Ronald Acuna Jr. going down, in my opinion, he was first in the MVP race, if not second or third. Top 3 at least. One of the best players in baseball. Even with him going down, they still went for it and they still made moves. I can't speak to the moves they could have made if he didn't go down. We could have seen Kyle Gibson being brought into Atlanta. We don't know the complexion. That's why I'm saying I think it's a completely different race if he's involved. They could be up 3 games right now, or they could have maybe, I don't know, not went full throttle. But I really think that they would have went pedal to the metal if he was still out there. I think that would have been more trouble for the Mets.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing too is for the pitching staff, Ian Anderson's been on the IL for quite a while, a few weeks now, and they also lost Soroka again. So those are arms that they.
Yona's coming back too.
Is he? Do you know when?
Yona has one more rehab start left at AAA, and then he'll be back probably in the rotation either late this weekend or early next week.
Yeah, so that'll also help them. I think Ian Anderson might be
That
on
guy
the
had like 2
assignment as
grand
well.
slams or something.
Yona?
Yeah.
Did he
Is it
have?
Yona or is it Noah? What is his?
I think it's Yona.
it is. Okay.
I could be wrong.
If anyone knows in the chat,
His name is Gabriel,
You can let
right?
us know.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. And shout out to Eddie. Yes. Thanks. Your correction on Acuna Jr.'s name. Yes. I will never say his name incorrectly ever again.
You went through like a week of hell, I feel like, for that.
Yeah. With Manny, probably like 3 weeks.
But yeah, I mean, we're going to be talking about the Mets and the Yankees didn't get a mention, other than Deck mentioning some of their players.
No, that's not true. I gave him a little shout out.
He did. No, he's been very respectful.
It was tossed in. No. I mean, we mentioned it on Friday. Like the Yankees have played a lot better. Did you drop the game yesterday?
I think they lost. It was 2.
Yeah. You know the answer.
It was 2 out of 3.
No, I didn't watch. I didn't watch.
No, I know. They lost 2-0.
You won the series though.
They did. Yeah, they won the series.
That's what matters. Winning series at this point.
Totally, especially at a team like Seattle, who maybe the only guy in America had them going to potentially getting a playoff berth. Hey, if it was last year, I think they would be looking at a playoff berth.
Yeah,
but
they're in the division right now, though.
No. If my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle. So,
well, there we go. There is that. Moving on. We kind of teased this on Friday, and I want to get into it now. A little debate. We haven't had a debate on the show in a while, at least not one that was set up. It's mostly been impromptu, but this time we're setting it up. So as Deck mentioned on Friday, Josh Allen got paid. He got big money. All right, to the tune of $258 million on a 6-year extension, $150 million guaranteed, which sets the NFL record. All right, he trails Mahomes in annual salary and guaranteed money, but it's not by much. So he got a huge bag, and if you aren't in these cold ass hitless streets, and these streets are cold, trust me, any given day you can catch a stray. All right, that's a fact. But if you aren't in these streets, you will still know that Declan tends to be a part of these lightning round conversations. Fernando Tatis was one. He rolled it back since.
I fly under the radar.
Hey. Well, you walked it back since. And Josh Allen is another one. All right. So we can get into, why Deck ends up being a part of these conversations. That's for another day, though. What I do want to focus on is
it's because I was Greg's player. That's why. That's what it's all.
I don't think it's that. And like I said, for another day. But what I do want to focus on is these two questions. It's, did Josh Allen earn this extension, this huge extension? And will he be the highest paid QB of the remaining QBs that have expiring rookie contracts, which is Lamar Jackson and you have Baker Mayfield? Now, I'll let Greg start off first. So, Deck, I'll throw it to you first. You can answer both of those. Do you believe he earned that extension? And where do you think he falls when it comes to the other two players that will have potentially their contracts, their extensions coming as well?
No,
Deck. Sorry, Deck. I said Deck. I let you start first.
I did get confused, Greg. It's okay. It's okay. Listen, all right, here's what I'll say. As far as the other two players go, I think that there's Allen and Lamar are not far. They're in that same kind of category, in my opinion. I think Mayfield's a little bit of a distant third. Not a knock on him. I just think he's not as good as the other two quarterbacks from that draft class. However, did he earn it? I'm actually going to say no, and here's why. I think that while he's a very good quarterback, and I have him going into the year top 5, top 7 guy, I think that overall he had one really good year. And when you're put in the throttle of Patty Mahomes' money, I'm going to need a little more than that. I think the Bills kind of jumped the shark in this regard for a couple reasons. One, I don't think Josh Allen was ever going to sit out of camp. He's never going to be that guy. He
never indicated it.
Wasn't crying about a contract. Wasn't, saying, hey, this is the money I deserve. This is what I'm going to hold out. He had one very good, not even the best quarterback in the division. What? Anyway, never indicated that he would sit out, and for no good reason. He has a great relationship up in Buffalo. He's not as outspoken as a couple other players up there. But overall, I just think that this is a deal that could have been made next year. 3 years in might have been a little premature. Like you guys said, Mayfield or Lamar hadn't gotten their deals yet. Mahomes got his deal after he won the Super Bowl, right?
Yes.
So 2 years, 3 years. Mahomes got, I guess, around a
Very
similar,
different career paths at that
completely
point.
different career paths. And I know everyone likes to compare the two, but I think
Mostly because
Mahomes,
the arms.
yeah, but that's where it's driven from,
Yeah.
arms and power mobility. But as much as I like Allen, and you guys know how I feel about him, he's my favorite quarterback in the league. I think that this is a deal that could have been made next year. While I think that he is going to be an elite quarterback, I think that there's some steps he needs to take, and it starts by redoing what he did the year before and kind of get it going. I think it's a good deal for both sides, but it's a deal that didn't necessarily have to be imminent, and maybe the Bills were banking on him having a better year and they wanted to get, the money under now. But I think that, I don't know. Like I said, I don't think it was imminent, and I think that it was a deal that could have been made next year. As good as I think Allen is, I think I would need to see a little more before I paid him $250 million. After his first year was really a learning experience where he was not good in 2018. And 2019, where although they went to the playoffs, that Bills defense was really good that year, and he wasn't particularly great, and it showed up in the postseason. So I would need to see a little more. I know he had a great year from like week 6 on. He was one of the best quarterbacks in football, really just dominating, and he had a nice playoff run. That ended in him folding in Kansas City, if we're being honest. So I think that overall, this would have been something that would have been nice to be done next year. It's good for Allen that it's out of the way this year. Hopefully he's better for it. Maybe that's what the Bills were looking for. But I didn't think that this was a huge need at the moment.
I have to say, color me surprised. That was the most even keel take.
No. What are you drinking? What are you drinking? Who slipped something in your drink? Who is this on the show? This is not Declan. I don't know who this is.
I drank a little coffee this morning.
No. Somebody slipped something in your espresso. I don't know, because that was not expected in the least. You have been the most biased Josh Allen fan I have ever met in my entire life. So for you to give such a measured take, I was sitting here like,
very measured.
Oh, wow.
Your tone and cadence was so different than I think anytime we've talked about any player that you care about as passionately as you do, Josh Allen. Surprised me.
But here's what I will say though. And you posted something, and this is where I supremely disagree with you. You asked, which QB would you pay, Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson? And if I had the choice as a GM, I am not paying Josh Allen. I am paying Lamar Jackson. Okay. And a lot of people feel because, well, Josh Allen is a superior passer than Lamar Jackson, he deserves the money. And I think, frankly, if you take a closer look at their career paths, that's hogwash. Josh Allen had one great year, one really bad year, and one okay year. Meanwhile, Lamar Jackson was the MVP of the league. Yeah. And so, and I believe the poll you posted had a lot of recency bias because it was 74% for Josh Allen.
And it might have been 76 or something. It was on like Stadium or something, which is blowing up.
And if we are being really, really honest and stating facts, okay, we can admit that Stephon Diggs made Josh Allen, not the other way around.
So, all right, here's my subject. I don't think that Allen made Diggs by any means. Diggs, although he had a career year, he was an established receiver in Minnesota, and he had Kirk Cousins throwing to him, who I know has been a good quarterback, but the past couple of years has not been great, and especially when he had his whole thing when he had beef with Diggs and Thielen, and there was some controversy. But as far as Allen and Lamar goes, I think that all right, so while I'll say Lamar had a nice MVP, actually a historic MVP year. It blew it out of the water. Seriously, he really did. Had a great MVP season. Josh Allen's passing numbers last year were better than any season that Lamar has had. Granted, got to see it more consistently, and that's why I can understand your argument as to why you would pay Lamar Jackson, because he was more proven than Josh Allen is at this point. Someone said Lamar is a better.
I just told him he's drunk. Taysom Hill can't even sniff an MVP conversation as a quarterback. Get out of here.
Well, I mean, I'd like to see him be an opening day starter once. But anyway, I think that's Jameis's job. But as far as everything goes with the whole Allen Lamar thing, I would rather play Allen because I think over the course of the next 15 years, I think this is what the Bills were banking on, and maybe why the Ravens and Lamar Jackson's camp haven't been particularly close to an extension, as reports came out back in April. I think that I would bank on Josh Allen being more of a superstar for the next 15 years over Lamar Jackson. And I think that while I don't think Lamar is a terrible passer. I just think that I can probably name a good amount of passers that are better than Lamar.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
So we've made it clear that Stephon Diggs was a large reason for Josh Allen's success last
Josh
year.
Allen's spider tack. How about that?
Yes. Who is the receiver that Lamar Jackson has had to throw to on that level?
That's an excellent question. The answer is nobody. I mean, Marquise Hollywood Brown was good for a little while, but I mean, he's no Stephon Diggs, and he wasn't even an X or a Z receiver towards the end of the year. He's a huge slot. But running quarterbacks are high risk in this regard. And when you bring in a guy,
Josh Allen's a running quarterback. Don't do that.
Totally. But
Very
listen to me. Josh Allen's a power running quarterback. He's not going to be, doing as risky things as Lamar is. But I think
that's because he can't do what Lamar does.
I mean,
that's really what it is.
Well, he's Lamar shifty. Like the thing with Allen is that he's a bigger guy. He's gonna probably run for contact. So the idea of him getting hurt more so than Lamar to me is higher because he will go for that extra yard depending on what he needs to get, especially because he at the goal line as well. He had a lot of goal line touchdowns.
I think, I think Josh Allen had more touchdowns last year,
rushing touchdowns than Lamar Jackson. Yeah,
Lamar Jackson.
Like 9, I think, and 8.
He led
Lamar
the league.
had 7.
Yeah, I don't know what Paul's talking about his bars. I don't really remember any bars, but that's just me. As far as the goal line touchdown goes and getting injured goes, is Allen is a much bigger and sturdier quarterback than Lamar Jackson is.
So was Cam Newton, and he hurt his shoulder because of that running style.
But Josh Allen hasn't been hurt.
But but what we're saying is you're saying Lamar Jackson has the potential to be hurt. We're saying both of them have potential to be hurt because of their own respective running styles.
Well, Steph said that I don't know why I didn't just call you Steph. That was not intended to be annoying, but it was. Steph said that Josh Allen was more likely to get hurt. And I see why you would say that. He takes stupid hits.
Yeah.
He lowers his shoulder in situations on second.
Because of his size, I was saying. That's like where you don't see Lamar going for contact. Lamar's going to get out of the way. He's shifty and he can get hit, but he was more likely to avoid contact than Josh Allen is because Josh knows he's a big guy. And he might be able to take on a DB and get that extra yard.
Allen welcomes the contact. I mean, he's not a quarterback that's going to be afraid to lower his shoulder. And sometimes that's stupid and he takes too many hits, especially when last year we saw Buffalo try out a running back that couldn't even get 25 yards in any of the playoff games. So that is he definitely overcompensated for the lack of running game in Buffalo. And I think that is something that when you're playing into playoff games, when you go into the AFC Championship and you're taking all these hits, that's something I would worry about. But as far as Lamar goes, I think that he is I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He is primarily a running quarterback. The best asset of his game is running. And that's not a knock on his passing.
I really feel like we have to stop doing that with quarterbacks because I feel like it devalues them as players when you pigeonhole them to a running quarterback or a passing quarterback. Because we wouldn't do that with Russell Wilson. We wouldn't do that with Deshaun Watson.
I wouldn't do that with either of them because Russell Wilson, as great of as Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson, their arm is, in my opinion, the best. Russell Wilson's escapability.
And here's the thing: you also have to account for the amount because you fail to mention the inconsistencies of Ravens receivers when it comes to Lamar's passing ability and stats. They were among the league leaders in drops. Okay, Lamar throws one of the best, and I'm not talking about best in terms of like accuracy of deep balls, but Lamar has a great arm. He has a great arm.
Very strong arm.
Okay.
Very reminiscent of Michael.
He's hit receivers in stride. We saw it in playoffs. We saw Hollywood Brown drop balls that could have been touchdowns.
True, but we've
And-
also seen him throw interceptions to Malcolm Butler on a 10-yard
Yeah,
under.
but we've also seen Josh Allen do that.
Lamar Jackson hasn't had
10-yard underthrows. We see
but
overthrows.
as far as intos go, Lamar Jackson's very good at.
He's
keeping
good
them
at
down.
limiting turnovers.
He hasn't had double-digit intos in.
I think he
his
had
seasons in
6
the league.
picks in 2019 and 8
And it was
last.
9. It was 9 last season.
Okay,
I
9
believe.
last. Yes.
You know, but like again, he does not turn the ball over in that way very often. So it's not like he has these errant throws that the defense is capitalizing on. He doesn't kill you that way.
Okay, but here's what I'm gonna say: is the Ravens scheme allows him not to take those kind of risks. It's very just hear me out.
The Ravens are schemed because of their lack of depth at the wide receiver position.
Oh, well, okay, but here's the deal. As far as receivers go, free agent signings go to Baltimore. Receivers don't necessarily want to go to Baltimore because they're not going to throw the ball. The game is not going to be built around the receiver in Baltimore. It's just not that offense. You know, as much as we can sit here and say Lamar Jackson is a good passer and he gets too much flack for the fact that he's one of the greatest running quarterbacks of all time, and that takes away from his passing for some stupid reason that no one can understand. Receivers don't necessarily want to go run to Baltimore because they know their target's going to be limited. That's just a fact of the offensive system. That's the system that they run there.
How about if we get if Baltimore gets a Stephon Diggs type in there, you're gonna scheme to get him the ball.
He's gonna get fed like a star receiver gets fed there. And you mentioned Greg, Deshaun Watson, and I forgot
Russell
the quarterback,
Wilson.
Russell Wilson. They have both had better receiving corps than the Ravens have had and Lamar Jackson has had. So to compare them and say, oh well, you know they're good passers and he's not a good passer. To Greg's point, he just has not had the talent around him deserving of a quarterback of his caliber, because he can't. We've seen the throws. He can make the throws. He flicks his wrist and it flies out. All right, and it's not like he's poor. He has poor accuracy. If he did, the into numbers would be up, and they're just not. And you can say the attempts, it's because of the number of attempts, but he's thrown enough footballs in this league that if he was a bad passer, we would see it by now in 3 years.
I don't think he's a bad passer. I just don't think
I'm not saying you are.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
But that also is a reflection of who he has around him, the talent we have around him. We spoke about Sam Darnold, how he never had a chance in New York because they did not go out there and get him the receivers. All right. Lamar's done a lot with the little he's had, and it's far greater than any other quarterback would in that situation.
Yeah, you know who I think a guy that Lamar Jackson would benefit from? I don't know who the league equivalent to be, but Mike Vick. I think they are so similar in running.
He's a better
passer than Mike Vick.
Night and day.
Mike Vick is fetishized in sports world because
of Madden 04.
Not just because of Madden, because people who grew up and watched what Mike did on the field, he revolutionized that position. So they hold on to that nostalgia because, like I always say, nostalgia is a Schedule I narcotic.
Right.
But
if Hollywood Brown was Deshaun Jackson, like Lamar Jackson needs a Deshaun Jackson to stretch the field.
Not even to stretch the field. He just needs a guy to run routes consistly and catch the ball consistently.
Right, but
if he had an Adam Thielen, I think he would be even better.
That's fair.
Like a Michael Thomas, like the type of a great route runner, someone that's gonna like be open and have sure hands. It's the sure-handed part that has been lacking for Baltimore.
But my question is,
his tight end is his best receiver.
Yeah, what the hell's his name? Mark
Andrews.
Mark Andrews. Why is it that the best possession receiver that the Ravens can find is bringing Dez Bryant out of retirement? Why is it that they can't get receivers?
That was mid-season. You're gonna sign.
What have they done? What have they done in the offseason? Sammy Watkins,
which is a very good signing.
Very good, but that's not going to change the whole complexion of the offense. That's not going to change the scheme. That's not going to change all the stuff they're doing. You know what I mean?
More short hands, possession.
Wait, didn't they draft a solid? Who'd they draft? They drafted.
They did draft a receiver. They drafted a receiver and maybe a corner too. I'm trying.
I don't care. I don't care about their corner. I care about
I was.
That's who it was. Rashad Bateman out of Minnesota.
That's a very good pick.
I also would say Devin Duvernay's second year should be interesting. He is a very sure-handed receiver that just didn't get a lot of snaps last season. But he's someone
that's a good one, Steph.
Yeah, he is good. But the one thing I'll say is just quickly and going back to he flicks the wrist, he makes the throws.
Yes,
he has to make and this is again the scheme. Not a knock on him. He's only really making, and we saw it in the playoffs against Tennessee. Only has to make those like 2-3 big throws a game, but that is what it's limited to when you have a guy that it's 3rd and 15 and you better put 3 guys in contain. I mean, it's unprecedented in that regard because you just know he's going to take off and you're still probably not going to get him unless you really
He
amp it
can
up.
take off. Not that he will. He can take off. And when he sees nothing, because he's not Michael Vick in the sense that Michael Vick was looking to run. When the ball was snapped, Michael Vick was going to make it work with his legs because he didn't really have it with his arm.
I disagree. I don't think
I think Lamar looks. I think Lamar goes through his reads and then he hits his run. He is not coming out of the snap looking to run every time. He's just not that quarterback.
And also, there are designed runs on snap count. So we have. But another thing I want to say is another reason I pay Lamar over Josh Allen is because of the divisions they play in. Josh Allen plays in one of the weakest divisions in football, whereas Lamar plays in the strongest division in the entire AFC conference. Even though that might change the AFC West, with the Chargers kind of reemerging.
I think the AFC West has the potential to be better.
But as of last year and the last 3 years, it has been the AFC North with the Browns, the Steelers, and the Ravens. All right, and he has led his team to the playoffs as the starter each year. That says something.
Yes. I mean, each year I would say his rookie year, he was good. He went like 6-1, but that he did inherit a team that was like around that 500 plateau. So that's impressive nonetheless to do as a rookie. So, I mean, there's that. I see why you would want to pay him. I just think over the course of the next 15 years, having a guy, and Steph, I do disagree when I think that he does look to run. And believe me, if anyone had those legs, who wouldn't look to run to get there as fast as possible? I mean, he plays hero ball from time to time, and it didn't work against Buffalo in the playoffs.
And Josh Allen doesn't?
No, he does too. See, I didn't say Josh Allen doesn't. I said Josh Allen doesn't. We see Josh Allen run way too much. The perfect example is that Texans wildcard game when we saw him run and throw a ball out of bounds because he was too focused on running. But I just think at this point, while Lamar has proven more, I have to say that is completely accurate. I think he's proven more. I think in the long run, we've seen more from Josh Allen's arm to be a premier quarterback in the league. And I think that there are some uncertainties with Baltimore. I think that while Jackson is in a system that caters to his needs, I think Allen has had better coaching and was more fortunate. I think if Sam Darnold's in Buffalo, we could be looking at a different story for him.
I just want to say you contradicted yourself.
How so?
Because you said before we spoke about the Lamar versus Josh, you said you wouldn't pay Josh Allen because he hasn't done enough in the league. And then you just said that, well, he's done enough as a premier passer in this league to say he deserves more than Lamar. So which one is it?
No, it's not that I wouldn't. It's not that all right. I'm saying I'd take him over the next 15 years. If I misspoke, that's my
That's usually unless you're a Pat Mahomes who transcends greatness, quarterbacks usually don't work like that.
So do you want to go 10 years? I'm just saying, like,
whatever the amount of time is, you would take Josh Allen over.
I would take Allen over him. However, I think that it was premature to pay him. I think
both could be true. Both could be true.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think that's a contradiction. I think I could take him and say I would like to see another year under his belt. Because if he has another MVP candidate year where he's a stud and he's throwing 40 touchdowns, 4,500 yards, takes the team to the playoffs, wins the division with ease, and makes a run, to get that confidence and then get paid, I think is astronomical for a quarterback's development. I mean, he's only going into his fourth year. So I think that would have been something. I understand the Bills didn't want to have to deal with options like the Browns are doing with Mayfield now, and that could get tricky, and we've seen how that can go. I think the intangibles are there, and I agree with Justin, the first thing he said.
Allen has, and this is the problem I have with kind of fans that are, what have you done for me lately? Allen has better intangibles. Allen has done this for 1 year.
Yeah.
1 year. That's all. So we don't know if this can continue. If he does it next year and the year after, I'll be happy to say, you know what? He's proved himself as a top elite quarterback in this league. I cannot give him that status after 1 year because we've seen too many times where a quarterback has a great year and then we don't hear from him again.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be that guy. I understand why you would say that, but that's why I said I think he's a very good quarterback that's going to be top 5, top 7 this year. However, I'm not going to go sit here and say he's elite. He's going to be the next Patrick Mahomes. They're going to go neck and neck for the next 15 years. As much as I want to say that as a fan of him, I think that he does need to. Although I'll take him, I think that he does need to come out and go off this year and prove himself, prove that he's worth the contract. I think the Bills jumped the shark by a year, but never know what the personnel is like in that locker room. They may really, really get along well, and it's a nice match made in heaven. And that might be why they wanted to get the money on him early.
Honestly, though, I mean, if we don't really see this too often in sports, where someone puts in 1 year and gets as big of a contract as he did. He's the second highest paid quarterback now behind Mahomes, and like with guaranteed money, number one, but second highest paid overall. And it's 1 season. And I know we like to pay for potential, but he had 2 more years remaining on his rookie contract. So they could have.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no. Oh no, I hear what you're saying. I'm not. Yeah. It's not a point against you.
No, I know.
As far as like, we could look at this extension and be like, what were the Bills thinking? No one's really saying that though. It's like, this was smart. The consensus around the league and people who follow football, this was a smart move, and I don't think it was by any means. It was a lot of money. They reset the market again, or rather, as far as guaranteed money goes.
Because what's going to happen? Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, you have Lamar, who is more distinguished than Josh Allen is, and you're going to have to pay him more. If anything, the Ravens are pissed that the Bills just did this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just before let me finish before you go. I am in the camp that Lamar is going to get paid more, or his contract has to look better than Josh Allen in some way, shape, or form. He just has the accolades over Allen. You can say you like his arm better, and then he over the next 15 years you like Allen, but that's all potential. What could be. What we have seen from Lamar Jackson is much more than what we've seen from Josh Allen. Yet he got that bag, and I can't imagine a world where Lamar Jackson is coming in far under or even slightly under
Josh or accepting
Allen.
Less.
Yeah. I mean,
but that's
the Ravens shouldn't offer less.
Why are the Ravens and Lamar Jackson so far apart?
I don't know any contract negotiations.
I don't think.
There have been discussions. There's literally reports out. I mean, I could put them in the chat.
That Carl has a question for you. He said, hasn't Lamar been more successful over Allen? Why would you take the less successful player?
Well, right now we've had a guy who last season, right? And hey, listen, like I said, I'm not paying him this year. I would have paid him next year. He did have a way better season than Lamar did last year. So far, they both had one great season, in my opinion. You could say that Allen's was really good, and you could say that Lamar's was historic. I'm not going to argue with that because that's just the facts. But I would say down the line, this is a guy who I think is going to be better. He showed it last year, and I think he's going to continue to show it last year. While I would have liked to see him do it again before I invested $250 million in him, that's where I would go. I think it's going to be similar to in terms of play wise and talent wise and neck and neck. Like this could be a Luka Doncic, Trae Young situation.
So just to be clear here, your answer to Carl's question is you pick the less successful quarterback based off potential going forward.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be less successful than him in the long run. That is what I'm saying.
Okay.
I see more potential. This is a move based on potential and what he did last year.
Okay.
Guys, I'm answering for the Bills when I wouldn't have paid him.
Now, let me. We get that, but there seems to be some holes here. So let me just poke something through it. You said I
just gotta plug my laptop in, but I'm still listening.
You said you're gonna pay him off potential, right? But yet Lamar has already done more than
potential and what he's shown last year.
Potential that's part of potential. Sure. Because of what he's shown. Yeah. Yet Lamar has done that and then some. And frankly, as a player, Josh Allen may be a better passer, but he's not a better player at the quarterback position than Lamar Jackson.
I mean, right now, I would rank him higher than Lamar going into the season.
Based off of what?
Based off of last year's play. Just because it's a what would you do for me now league. League.
But again, you as a passer, right? That's what you're saying.
Right now, I think Josh Allen's a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson. Right now. I just think that Lamar has been more successful.
Okay, then. So Lamar has been more successful, yet you're saying right now that you're going to pay Josh Allen based off potential, even though this quarterback has clearly showed you he can be more successful than Josh Allen. You don't see how that sounds crazy?
I totally understand, but the idea that right now that Lamar is going to be better, like, listen, we did see there was a huge distance between the two of them last year. I mean, Lamar Jackson was not an MVP candidate last year. Josh Allen was. I mean, Josh Allen was. I mean, we had Paul. You want to quote?
You said candidate. Does Josh Allen have an MVP?
No, he does not. He doesn't. But last year, basing it on last year, right now I think that Josh Allen's a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson. I think he'll be more successful in the long run. I just think that so far with the accolades and the MVP, no doubt has Lamar Jackson accomplished more. But I think that, listen, these are both guys that are 3 years in. They're going into their fourth year. And it's a debate that's really not going to fade or go away. And I think that right now, Josh Allen's a better quarterback. He showed you that last year. I mean, Lamar put up 3 points against them in the postseason, and Allen didn't even really play particularly well in that game.
I mean, again, we could go back to the drops, touchdowns, and all that. But I have to quote Paul Lawson's nickname for Travis McKay. I have to address I have to address the cookie man here.
Paid off potential, not what you've done.
Yeah, he said you get paid off potential, not what you've done. And this was a smart deal for the Bills. If they waited, the price goes up. Travis, he is making the most guaranteed money next to Pat Mahomes. How would that price go up? Where is it going? They didn't have to give him this money right now. They chose to do it. Bro, what are you talking about? Send him the code. He just got me tight.
Well, I don't think you get paid off potential. I think that at the same time, there's a fine balance.
You need a track record. I mean, potential will increase your deal. It doesn't get you your deal. Potential will increase your numbers, but what you've done is the basis on the foundation of whatever contract extension or contract you sign. It's not going to be, he has the potential to be amazing, so we're going to just pay him now. That's foolish. If any franchise did that, they would be losing money left and right, because we've seen time and time again talented players not pan out. So potential is not how you base your money, how you're going to dole out your money.
But my question is, why did Allen get paid, and why are the Ravens and Lamar Jackson so far apart? It's just my question.
You could keep going back to that, but contract talks are never gonna, from team to team, are never gonna be smooth sailing. You know, and Lamar is at a point where Lamar is at a point where he can demand whatever he wants, because who is the Ravens' backup quarterback?
They're different franchise, different situations for sure.
I mean, as far as potential goes, I mean,
you could keep talking about potential.
No, but let's talk about potential. What did Fernando Tatis Jr. get paid off of?
Fernando Tatis Jr. got paid first, and technically that's a team discount. That deal is not even that great for Fernando Tatis.
Totally,
it is not that. So that's a poor example.
No, it's not a poor example.
It's a team friendly.
He got paid off of potential. He didn't.
No. He signed a team friendly long-term deal. This deal is not team friendly for the Buffalo Bills.
300 mil,
which is crazy, because literally Mahomes got 500 mil, and that was a team-friendly deal based on the salary cap ramifications that come with it.
But are we putting Josh Mahomes? Are we putting Josh Allen?
Jackson Mahomes
in the realm of Pat Mahomes to get the second most guaranteed money? He's not better. No. Josh Allen isn't better than Deshaun Watson. He's not better than Russell Wilson. You know. And it's probably he's definitely not better than Pat Mahomes, but yet he has the second most guaranteed money. The Bills essentially reset the quarterback market, and they didn't have to. Why? You keep talking about potential, but he hasn't done enough to earn that salary at that level.
But did I not say? And this is why I love seeing upset people in the comments, because our show will always be a lightning round because of it. I mean, it's just awesome. But did I not say that I thought the Bills jumped the shark and could have waited another year? While I think that he'll be worth it in the long run, I would have made this deal next year.
You did say that. That is a walk back from your typical stance. Sure. But on air, you did say that to start with. I agree with that. As far as the Fernando Tatis part goes, if we're going to compare him to Josh Allen, he's done much more than Josh Allen in his time in the league.
Wait a second. Whoa. Fernando Tatis. Oh, right. This year, if you want to say it.
No. I'm talking about in his career.
Body of work.
Overall, in his career, what he has done, and because potential is a part of that. I'm not saying it isn't a part of that, but if Fernando Tatis didn't hit the way he did and play the kind of ball he played, he's not getting that contract. And what I'm saying is that the basis of the foundation of a contract like that is we've seen enough from you, and we project you here. It's not you're projected here, so we're going to pay you. That's not how it works.
But the Bills projected Josh Allen to be a top quarterback for the next. I mean, he got paid before 600 at bats as Tatis. So let's not act like he played a full season.
Again, Tatis' contract is not good.
It's not. I wouldn't compare the two. I would not compare the two as far as like the amount of, because I mean,
it's a terrible contract for a player.
No. I was comparing that getting paid off potential. a lot of it had to do with potential for Tatis.
No, it wasn't the potential. It was them trying to lock up a star player for the cheap. The Bills are not trying to lock up a star player for cheap. They're paying him, above market value.
100. He has the most guaranteed money of any football player in the history of football.
Yo.
Why do you think
Travis, stop getting me tight, bro? You get me tight, Travis, because he says that the price always goes up. That's how the market works. If Josh Allen signed a 6-year, $175 million deal with $75 million in guaranteed money, we wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. We wouldn't, because you were like, you know what? If they wanted to pay him, they pay him. It doesn't reset the market. Josh Allen has only done this for 1 year. Why are we resetting the market for a guy who has only had one good year?
Garrison said, that's your brother, as much as you guys have been beefing lately. Paying Allen now isn't too bad because one of the most valuable people in all of sports is a franchise quarterback, and you need one in this league. So if a team believes they have theirs, they usually end up overpaying them to keep them.
Garrison,
I think the annual salary that he could have had is one thing. It's the guaranteed money that really is the issue for me. He didn't have to guarantee that much money. We can just all agree to that. He could have had a big contract, $258 million, and they could have had less guaranteed money. The fact that they reset the market for guaranteed money for Josh Allen off of one season, to me, is the ridiculous part of this extension. Why would you do that?
Garrison, listen closely. Make sure you have both earbuds in. All right. Josh Allen has 2 years left on his deal. Where is he going? To
Travis's point, apparently he's going to be worth more than $150 million guaranteed after this season or the next one. So you have to lock him in now, right? Because where he was going to be if they didn't sign him now, after Lamar signs and maybe Baker signs, he's going to require demand more money.
Somebody spiked Travis Girl Scout cookies.
Especially when Baker has not had the season that Lamar and Allen have had. Baker
his first year was great, but
totally, his first year was excellent. I mean, he almost got Rookie of the Year, which is it's surprising he didn't. He was the best rookie in the AFC, best rookie quarterback. His first year he had the best rookie season. I would say that's fair. He played a full year. He broke the record at the time, and that's that. But
Garrison said, well, if Josh Allen does well, he could go anywhere. Again, he's under contract for 2 more years. Well, he was. So he could, even if he wanted to, he couldn't go anywhere next year.
The example that you guys should use right now as to why the Bills shouldn't pay Allen is Carson Wentz. The Eagles paid him, and then he got injured, and then that whole deal went to shreds, and then they had to trade him. Which is why I'm saying, listen, if Josh Allen, God forbid, went out next year and broke his leg or had a shoulder thing like Andrew Luck and just listen, he hasn't showed that it happened, but with his play style, and it's the National Football League.
Garrison is bugging. I don't know what he's sipping on too.
Listen to me for a second.
I'm listening.
We can get into Garrison. But a guy like Wentz got signed, got injured. The idea that they didn't sign him next year, that's what I would have done if I were the Bills. I get that they want to have their guy, and listen, they've been expecting this, and a lot of analysts in the football world were expecting a big year from Allen at some point early on in his rookie contract. It just took him 3 years to do it. He should have did it in year 2, especially after the slow start in year 1. I mean, he was bad in his rookie year, which a lot of quarterbacks in that draft class were. I mean, we look at the Darnolds and the Rosens and stuff like that. However, I see why they would want to sign, and I've said it again. I'll say it more. That's not a stupid example at all. And really, you've been off the mark today, but that's another story.
Not sure who you're referring to.
Paul Lawson.
Yes. It's not a stupid example.
So
if Josh Allen gets hurt next year, he's not getting $258 million.
No. Finish your point. Finish your point, though, Dak.
That really is my point at this point, because I know we got a lot to talk about.
So here's the thing. Travis and Garrison saying this just happened to Dak, that they had to pay Dak more because they waited until after Wentz and Goff's contracts, right? And what I will say to that is Dak accomplished way more than those other 2 QBs as well as Josh Allen. So Dak had every right.
But Goff went to the Super Bowl, though. I mean, and
I'm talking about accolades wise.
Well, right? I don't know though, accolades wise. Rookie of the Year, yes. But Wentz was an MVP candidate before he went down, and Goff went.
MVP candidate is not an accolade.
Okay, you want to talk about accolades, but accomplished more. I mean, taking a team to the Super Bowl.
That's fair. That is fair. I'll give you that.
And,
I would agree. That is an
give you that.
accomplishment.
Wentz did. All right, I know technically he is a ring. It's not the same, but he did take that team to where it needs to be. I mean, they were like 13-2 when he went down, and that team was all him. Because that's just me. But
there was far more inconsistency, I think, with Carson Wentz though when he got that contract than you would see with Dak.
That's the thing,
and that's what I was going to try to say. Dak showed to be a more look at what the Cowboys were without Dak, right? And the Cowboys put themselves in that position. But what I'm saying is, Dak wasn't under Dak. Dak was, I think he had like a year left, and they tried to renegotiate. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure, but Josh Allen was under team control. They didn't have to do this year. They could have legit waited to see if he backed up his play from last year and probably, got into talks in the offseason next year. And then if he gets this money next year, people don't even bat an eye.
But I think we're in agreement in that is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Okay. Then we're on the same page in that regard, that this is something that should have happened next year. Like,
yes.
You don't do it. I don't think that they should base it off of 1 year. I think that it's something that you base off of 2 years. I think he's going to have a great year next year, or this year, excuse me, because now the season's a month away. Excuse the voice crack. But I think this is something that they could have done next season. And it would, no, you're right. No one would have batted an eye, especially if he's playing as good as he does. This is not a guy that was in a Dak situation where, are they going to franchise tag him? Is he going to want to hold out? Is he going to want to do X, Y, Z? Is he going to want to, pull an Aaron Rodgers or anything ridiculous? The only thing that could have happened that could have set him back is if he had a major regression, or if he had a Carson Wentz type of injury, or just an injury in general.
Josh Allen.
He can regress. Right? Josh Allen, yes.
Okay.
Josh Allen could have regressed a little bit this year and still gotten the money, because he would have showed you at least that he has the consistency to be a really good quarterback. I mean, I don't think he's going to have as great of a year as he did last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to have a very good year, but I think he did set the bar high on himself. And old rule of thumb in the NFL is it takes a year for the teams to adjust. And I think that teams are going to adjust him. I don't expect him to 45.
Yeah, so
I think he gets paid. I just want to say, I think he gets paid, but not this money. That's all I'm saying. Like, I don't think it's Josh Allen doesn't deserve to get paid by the Bills.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
Like,
it's the guaranteed money that is a little suspect.
The guaranteed money is just very high for 1 year. And that's the thing too, because for what Travis and Garrison's talking about, it's just not the same track record. Let's be honest.
It's not. And y'all keep bringing up Dak. Dak showed from the moment he came into the league that he could be a consistent starting NFL quarterback. Josh Allen has not done that to deserve $150 million in guaranteed money. And that is what we're getting at.
Yeah. I do think they were groomed in separate ways though, if that makes sense. Like, there's two different ways to groom a quarterback. And I think that the Cowboys did really good was they limited Dak in his rookie year, half field reads, feed Zeke, go to your tight end and Jason Witten. Dez Bryant took a hit because of it, similar to what Ravens receivers would deal with if a great, you know what I mean? It was a similar system to Baltimore, actually, except they went less off
the
zone.
They had a great O-line. Yeah, they had a great O-line. He had a great running game.
Totally.
There wasn't as much. It wasn't as much expected from Dak in that position.
He was put in the position to succeed as a fourth round quarterback.
Garrison said Dak Prescott did not show that. How many solid years did Dak Prescott have before the contract talks came up in comparison to Josh Allen?
Came up or
no? Josh Allen has had one good year. Dak Prescott has had more than one good year.
Right, but Dak's drive for getting the contract was because he was on a fourth round deal, which is chump change compared to a first round deal. So that also shows why he because if God forbid Dak went down, which he did go down, but if he went down and say he could never play again, he wouldn't have had much to deal with besides endorsement money and stuff because he was on that fourth round contract, which is nothing compared to getting 20 mil as a rookie in the first round.
He didn't get paid because Jerry Jones is the owner. Are we gonna act like that doesn't play a part in this?
Yeah, I think our boy Jordan Eugene, as much as you guys have had basketball beef, he said something to me the other day. We were talking Giants Dallas, and he said, "Real Dallas fans don't like Jerry Jones. They go for the boys in blue." It's not like Jerry Jones. Yes, Hall of Fame owner, but Jerry Jones is not a role model, in my opinion. But
I don't care about him being a role model, but he has notoriously
he went after Zeke. He went after Zeke too.
Throughout his career, has not played players when they've deserved the money.
Yeah,
that's nothing new.
The same thing with coaches too. I mean, the whole Jimmy Johnson beef. The fact that just got squashed like this year is so beyond ridiculous. But Now we're really into.
This is the price you pay for what you believe to be your friend. No, it is not, Travis. Stop it. You do not pay the second most guaranteed money to a non-Super Bowl winning quarterback because, quote unquote, this is what he can do. Stop it. Pat Mahomes didn't get paid till after he won.
Right. I would say, and I think that has something to do with this. And here's what I think it is. I think they wanted to pay him similar to a Mahomes track record, Mahomes path. They wanted to pay him on a similar timetable just because they thought that they could win and get this out of the way. But the truth is, when you pay a quarterback huge money and it's not a team-friendly deal, it's going to be
you hamstring your team.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like we saw it with the Colts and Andrew Luck. As great as Andrew Luck was, sometimes the supporting talent was just not there. The offensive line was putrid until he friggin' retired. I mean, that's one example. We even seen it in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers' deal. Like they haven't signed mega free agents, and it doesn't help when you don't draft
they also haven't drafted anyone worthwhile.
So when you really do pigeonhole yourself to this is the quarterback, this is the team, when you don't make it, when you don't have a team-friendly deal. I think that he could have gotten this money next year. I really do. As much as I don't agree with the guaranteed money, I think he could have gotten a contract very similar next year.
So
the pudding being that he got it this year.
Hold on. Ray Jarvis asked a good question. He asked, what's the AAV and what's the cap hit? And I have it right here. When the contract kicks in, I believe in 2023, it's 23 million. And then hold on, give me 1 second. Let me pull it up for you. Right.
The one thing is that the Bills are looking to make playoff runs and win that division and hopefully get to a Super Bowl. And they do have that problem out of the way.
All right, so here we go. 2023, it's 27.5 with a guaranteed signing bonus of 3.3. So he's making $30 million in 2023. And in 2024, the cap hit is 41 million cap hit. But he's making 23.5, another 3 million signing bonus. In 2025, it tapers off to 14. There's an opt-out in 2026, which I don't think we discussed. No. And I guess that's where the Bills gave themselves their out if he doesn't perform. And then it's 8.4 in dead cap in 2026.
So what are your thoughts on that deal as a whole, economically?
I think Josh Allen is not a $30 million a year quarterback as of right now. He could also prove me wrong next year.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
But I think as much as we're all in agreement that this should have been a deal that was done next year, it's a win-win because it's totally, and Ray Jarvis on the money right now saying it's a completely front-loaded deal.
Yes,
because it is.
Yeah,
because if Allen stinks it up for the next couple of years, or if he's allowed to regress a little bit based on how good. And I'm not just setting myself up to say, if he has 30 touchdowns and he's not great, then so be it. Like I said it, whatever. He's allowed to regress a little bit. When you explode like that, I don't think he's going to put up 45 touchdowns this year. I don't see it. But I think that if he can win
I really have to ask, who spiked your coffee? Like,
what is so bad?
Nothing is bad. Nothing's bad. Again, you are the most biased. First of all, you're the only Josh Allen fan I know.
I know, right? Seriously.
But also the most biased at the same time. So for you to be this measured is totally unexpected. So that's why I got to ask, who spiked your coffee? Yeah, everybody's surprised. The comments surprised everybody.
Comments they're still mad at me. They wish. I'm still getting really some anger in there. And Ray, I don't think I gave Jackson grief on this episode today. I don't.
Not on this episode, but
I have before.
General.
Totally.
Yeah.
That is. I've absolutely done that. Is he saying Lamar regressed a little bit? I would say he regressed a little. No. But I would say this. I would say he regressed a little. But again, like I said with Allen, he was allowed to regress last year. And he still didn't have a bad year. Again, Steph, like you said, despite the reads and that they don't have him throwing the ball 40 times a game, he doesn't turn the ball over. And that's a recipe for success in the league, no matter what you're trotting out on the field. Deck don't want to smoke, so he's not. You know me, bro. When have I ever, bro? You know what? Should I even?
I think what he's saying is you kind of moonwalked some of your Allen takes. I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah. But and he can have his opinion, but also football season's nearing. I'm going off of my gut. I'm going off what I've seen.
You usually go with your gut, honestly. That is typically why your takes are so you're very headstrong when it comes to it, right? A little bullish. Like you are adamant about Josh Allen in the hitless streets, and it just did not match what you were saying today. And I think that's what the comments are relating, that it doesn't match what they see in the chats. And you are entitled to feel however you want to feel on any given day. But for the amount of time that this Josh Allen conversation has been going on, this has not been your tone.
Well, we haven't. All right, in all fairness, we haven't talked about him since like February.
Oh, I'm just talking about
at least on Smoke and Mirrors. Yes,
I'm not.
Streets, sure.
Yes, hit list is what I'm speaking about, because the people that are in these comments right now that are coming for you are in those hitless streets, and they know how you talk. In
all fairness, there's some people in the comments that said Josh Allen was average last year, and then he went and he did have an MVP.
He was average when the year started.
They were saying this in October, so he wasn't average.
What I'm saying is, going into the year, Josh Allen was an average quarterback, bad, because he didn't show anything in those first 2 years that would make you say, you know what, he's going to have a top 5 year. He just wasn't that guy. He proved people wrong.
Yeah, and he did. But I think it's funny we're talking moonwalks when our boy Paul, who for some reason thinks I don't want to smoke. Clearly he's never met me or watched this show. But to say I don't want to smoke, and then same guy who said,
man, do I smell a setup for Friday?
I don't care. It doesn't matter.
I mean, it could be TBD, y'all.
Yeah, Paul Lawson, hit us up. Let us know, bro. Come on, discuss some football.
What is there to talk about in this case that I haven't mentioned? Paul said in the biggest moments, Josh Allen was still average last year. That's why he said that Josh Allen was the best quarterback in football from week 6 on, ahead of the championship game. When it was Kansas City versus Buffalo. So you want to talk about a moonwalker? I mean, he's moonwalked on Breeze.
Yeah, I think we need to bring Paul Lawson on. That's what I think. And me and Steph just kind of mediate.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it. But what are we?
I can't see you mediating. Hold on.
Yeah, I can't see Greg mediating.
I can't see mediating.
Hey, wait. First, whoa. And I've hosted the Sports Hit List main show on certain topics. I can mediate when necessary.
Okay. I agree. All right, dude, Greg is versatile. We can't.
I'm not saying versatility was not in question. It's just I can't imagine you in a conversation with Paul and Deck not jumping in and being more impartial.
Yeah. Get Travis on here.
Sorry, being you'll be partial. You need to be impartial, but I would see being partial. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. If we're gonna book all this, Travis must be on. I think that's fair when Greg is here.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Hey, we'll talk about it. All right, we over here trying to book people up, mid-show.
That's what we just did.
Whoa! We tried. Is what I'm saying. Okay, sure, we did not book anything, and we can talk about it.
What are we coming on to talk about? Is the question
that's something we could discuss.
Remains to be seen, because what have we not talked about today? We will discuss
it.
Okay. There's a multitude of things we can speak about, right? And there's different angles we could take. Yeah. So we'll discuss it and we'll see. Paul, all right. Our DM's open. Oh, we'll reach out to you actually. And Travis, I'm sure you're available. Come on.
He says I'm here. That's what he said.
But with that fiery discussion, I'm excited. This is getting me excited for football. I hope y'all are excited for football season, because there's going to be more of this happening. I don't know if Deck's gonna moonwalk on his Daniel Jones takes. That's gonna be interesting. Don't say anything, Deck. Don't let the people. Don't just tease. Yeah. We don't know yet.
I agree with Ray. I'd like to shout out my boy Ray. Bills should have waited on the Josh Allen deal. Listen, Greg. As much as we have football disagreements, we can't say that we were off the mark here today. That's just a reality.
This was a brand new Deck. That's why I think it's
Dude, I had some coffee this morning. I was feeling all right.
Whatever your routine was, it was different. It seems like it. Hey, all right. Hey. Either way, got love for your kid. All right. I was surprised. We were all surprised. And it was a smoke and mirrors first.
You've never been surprised on this show?
No.
Your take was
your measured take in response to Josh Allen.
Well, I think that I've said it so many times.
Hey, it's cool. It's cool, man. You got to explain yourself. It happened. We got the tape. We'll go back to the tape. And anytime that you get out of pocket, I'll be like, damn, remember that day Deck was just like really level-headed? Wow. No, man. It's all love. It's just fun and games. But
of course.
Gotta wrap it up. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to all Hit List content on YouTube, Facebook, and IG. The handle is Sports HL. Again, that's Sports HL. Coming up tomorrow, we're going to have the Fan Zone with Eminem, Mike, and my main boy, Manny. All right,
By the way,
check that out, 5 p.m.
5 p.m. tomorrow. Great show.
5 p.m.
Dude, I just want to say I am like so proud of Mike and Manny. I think that they're doing like first of all, Eminem, not to be confused with Marshall Mathers. Seriously, these are two guys like came in, obviously been here a lot longer than I have, but these guys just blossomed and great dudes, running a great show. Like this, like I did not realize, right? This network needed that show so bad. And it's in my opinion the best network in all of New York. And I think that
Let them know.
you got a special network tomorrow. I'm sorry to jump the gun, but I'm just reading some comments. You got a special guest tomorrow. I wouldn't miss it. It really is. I think it's just a fantastic show.
Ooh, special guest, Manny. Yeah, so Manny, Mike, we'll be in the comments tomorrow, checking you guys out. So yes, everyone, Tuesdays 5 p.m. Fan Zone, and then back again with us on Friday between 1 and 2 for all of your favorite takes, the Smoke and Mirror takes. I'm your host, Stefan Polius, alongside Declan Krogman and Greg Polius. Till we see you on Friday, enjoy your week. Take care.